2, 1.
Hello, and welcome back to the Diving In podcast. This is episode 9 of our 10-episode season pilot, and I'm Max. I'm here with my co-host and good friend Mario.
How's everybody doing today?
Good, thanks, man. And today we have a very special guest. This man has sailed to Mexico, lived in South Africa, pretty much a world traveler. He's converted his van into a home, lived on the sailboat. I mean, yeah, we got a lot to get into.
Dream. But, my type of guy.
Tom Miron is here with us today. Say what's up.
Hey, how's it going?
Thank you so much for coming on the show, dude.
Yeah, I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah. All right, let's dive into it, all right? Alrighty, so I've known you my whole life, so I know a good amount of your background and history and whatnot, but for the viewers out there, you were born in PA, right?
Yep.
Born in PA, moved to San Francisco area in California.
Yep. Did that when I was about 11 years old.
Was that 11?
So I went to middle school and high school there. Yeah, 11.
Wow. Okay.
Huh. Do you have like any fond memories of that, or was that kind of blacked out of your memory?
I remember a good age to move.
Yeah.
It was like like right between elementary school and middle school, so the school I was going into was like all new kids anyway.
Yeah. So you already had family out there, or were you like the first person in your family to move out there? Obviously,
no. Yeah, so we didn't have any family out there. Like both my mom's side of the family and my dad's side of the family mostly live in PA, pretty close by. And my dad got a job opportunity out there, so kind of like maybe a little bit of a midlife crisis thing. They decided to pick up and move us out there. But it was cool because I got to grow up, half East Coast, half West Coast, get a little bit perspective of everything.
Yeah. And I think you fit more of the West Coast vibe. I think your lifestyle and personality.
Back, chill, yeah. Yeah. I mean, how did you like it out there? How was that lifestyle for you?
Yeah, the transition mainly.
Right.
Transition was like a little bit hard, but I think it would have been like harder if I was older. In high school, it would have been harder to like move halfway through high school or something. But
did you just go to a public high school out there, right?
Yeah, public middle school and public high school. But I liked it out there. Like the weather was super nice. You could wear flip-flops to school every day.
Yeah.
Which was chill. The thing I didn't like about Northern California, or kind of specifically the East Bay and the area that I was in, is like it's kind of like all about like consumerism. It's like people love to shop there, and I'm more into the outdoors and stuff. But you're pretty close to a lot of like good hikes and a lot of good outdoor
parks
areas
and whatnot.
Sure. Yeah.
So what kind of student were you back in high school? If you could think back to that, like, was there any like subjects you liked more than others, or were you just trying to get by, or dedicated towards it?
To be honest, I was kind of like floating in the beginning of high school. Like I had like a few things that I liked, but not really like I wasn't like in love with school or anything,
Yeah.
I wasn't one of those kids. I was like more of a do what I can do to get by, like
type of student.
More like maybe like a C+, B- student, just kind of
B-, yeah, you're amongst friends here.
Fact, true that.
But so, in high school, I found photography, which I
really
loved.
That early of an age, then.
Yeah, and actually that's kind of what led me. So I started doing photography. I did like 2 years of photography, and I absolutely loved it. And in my second year of photography, the photography teacher was like, "Hey, the journalism class, the newspaper, the school newspaper, they're looking for a photographer."
Yeah, so you should do it.
Yeah, so I went over and started in that class, and loved it. Mainly because you would get a pass just to wander to school and take photographs.
True.
Like, sit behind a
That's
desk.
a good gig.
Find stories and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So at that point, was photography big Like, were a lot of people doing photography, or were you kind of like the
Probably like what it was like. What it's like
pioneer?
now, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah.
Not as good.
No, I mean, it was different because like so my film or my photography class was all film, like black and white darkroom sort of thing.
Yeah.
We had one digital camera, like old school. Like this was like, so maybe this was like
Probably a
2003.
hefty thing too. Wasn't it?
It was huge, and it had had like the 3.5-inch floppy disk that you put in the side, and it could take like 10 pictures before you like put that disc back in the computer. I mean, I'm sure there was like better stuff at the time, but you know, it was a public school, so that's what they had.
And what you would just
say, you take what you can get.
times using or sharing that big camera mainly. I'm sure they had little ones too, but.
So while you were in high school,
I mean, like.
No, go ahead.
What's that?
No, I was just about to ask you a question, but no, you can go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say like so then I got into journalism, and it was kind of like the early days of doing it all on the computer. So they needed someone to like kind of figure out the computer stuff as far as like laying out the stories, putting in the images, doing all the layout stuff. And so I was into computers. I had like built my own computer.
Yeah, I was gonna say thus the technology interest was born. But you already built your computer before you did that?
Yeah, so
how'd you get into
I
that?
really wanted a computer. Well, I really wanted a computer, and like we had a family computer, but I wanted my own. And my dad was like, "Hey, like, I'll give you the money to build your own computer. I'm not gonna buy you a computer, but like I'll give you the money to build it."
No shit, really.
So, yeah. I went on the internet and like looked it up and like started reading about how to do it, and then
was this in high school?
You know, we went down to like electronic. Yeah, this was in high school, like early high school.
Hell yeah.
We went down to like the electronics store. We had a huge electronics store called Fry's. This is like back before Amazon. And bought all the parts, and I figured it out and built this computer. So I was kind of into computers then.
When you flip that switch and see that thing moving, I would probably euphoric feeling, especially for the first time.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, like putting something together yourself and then having it actually work.
Was your dad tech savvy too? Like, did he help you in the assembly and whatnot, or was that really all you?
He was like tech savvy in the way, like, you know, everyone called him a gadget guy.
Okay.
I mean, Max, you know this, but like for those that don't know, my dad passed away like when I was in high school, so
sorry to hear that.
He's no longer around. Yeah, that's right. It's cool. It's been a while. You know, it always gonna sting a little bit. But,
and he was one of the greatest guys I've
taught me a lot of
known.
cool stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was like, you know, always had to have the latest and greatest gadgets. This was all before smartphones, but he always had like a Palm Pilot.
Yeah,
little personal organizer.
That's a throwback. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little beeper things. I'm trying to think of pagers.
Yeah. So I mean, are you still building computers now? Are you still into that now, or you kind of?
No. So like once I like pretty much like through high school, I mean I built that first computer and then I like upgraded a bunch of times, and then like senior year, I wanted a laptop, and I kind of just I was working and saved up, and I actually just bought a Mac laptop back in the days of iBooks.
Oh hell yeah!
And I was converted to Apple.
Oh no!
Because you know, for me, I'm a big Apple person now because it just works. You don't have to like fuck with it. You don't have to mess around.
It's easy. Yeah, I was gonna say once you get past the basics, it's pretty easy to use.
Yeah, and it you can like build your own Apple computer, but it's a lot harder. Yeah. It's like a lot more stuff because they make it like so their software only works on the machines.
Exactly.
Yeah,
what job did you have that allowed you to save up? Just little gigs.
I was doing a bunch of stuff. I mean, like the first thing I started doing in high school, since I was kind of tech savvy, is I used to have the original iPod.
Okay.
And the battery went out on it, and I don't know if you remember those, but you couldn't open them like really like just like an iPhone nowadays. Yeah. So I figured out. I found some instructions online of some people that like showed you how to open it up.
The little tiny screws or whatever. You probably had to.
Yeah.
So
I bought on eBay. I bought like 30 batteries because they were pretty cheap. And then I posted on Craigslist this little service where like I would change your iPod
Oh, no
battery.
shit. The little entrepreneur in you.
I was going to say, you started hustling. He's hustling.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Apple was charging like $150 or something, and I think I was charging $50.
Yeah, and many people had that
battery-
issue, I'm sure.
I was going to say, yeah, all the
Yeah.
time.
I mean, I did like all of them, and the batteries cost me like $2 a piece.
Oh, baby.
And that's pretty much how I saved up to get that first laptop.
I like that.
So you made a nice little hefty profit on that.
Yeah. It was cool. And then I worked a bunch of other odd jobs, like I worked at a movie theater, and I worked at like a pottery barn, and they were all kind of shitty. But then
Pottery barn.
then I actually started working at the Apple store, which was like the best.
Really?
That was a sweet job.
You're probably like the lead technology guy. In there. Lead technologist. Huh?
No, I was just like a floor associate. I mean, this was like senior year of high school, like,
Yeah.
and then I also did it this like the first summer of college, so like between freshman and sophomore year.
Yeah.
So
So you got some nice discounts.
So where'd you go to college? I mean, I know this, but
So I went to Portland State in Portland, Oregon. So yeah, it was like
what
I moved from California up to Oregon, and I loved it there.
what made that decision for you? Were there other looks? Was that the only school you're looking into?
No, so I was like really lucky because, like I said, I went from that photography class into journalism, and I started laying out the newspaper, and so I was like, hey, like I really like that. So I started looking into graphic design as like a college major, and I really liked graphic design, and I was like, this is what I want to study in college. And I mean, I think a lot of people don't know going in freshman year what they want to study.
No.
But I was super fortunate that I was like, I want to study graphic design. So I started looking at schools.
So you went in as a freshman.
Specifically for graphic design.
Okay.
Yeah, even before like my freshman year, I knew I wanted to do graphic design.
Yeah, that's such an advantage on, the majority.
Yeah.
Right.
I lucked out. I mean, I'm still doing graphic design today. Like I got my degree in that, and that's my job right now. So
Turn into a career.
I was super lucky with that.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
and you've always been skilled at that. I know.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's like artistic, but it's also like tech savvy. You get to use the computer, but also be creative, use your hands. It's fun.
Yeah, it's that creativity, which is you need like creative like outlook
Especially
in a
what
lot
you're
of things.
doing.
That's like limitless opportunities doing that kind of stuff. But like you wouldn't do like ads for businesses or like commercial things like that, would you? Like, did you get hired by a company as a graphic designer or designer?
Yeah, so basically, like my track was in college. I went to school for graphic design, and then for my degree in my senior year, I was required to do
senior project
one semester of like internship.
Oh, okay.
Oh, word. Yeah. Just
So
to get some
my
experience.
Exactly, yeah. And so I did that. I did that in my senior year, and I did it for like one semester, the first semester of senior year. And I got an internship with this company called Grenade Gloves. They do like snowboarding clothes. They're they're known for like snowboarding clothes and stuff. Like their biggest, they sell most of their stuff
gloves.
at Zoomies. They like kind of market towards like teenage boys.
Yeah.
It's kind of their thing.
Okay. And how
So
was
kind
that?
of like fit. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, go ahead.
It was cool. It was a great like. I mean, it was an internship. I was kind of doing like the grunt work. Like they would like give me projects like, here we have 1,000 photos of like all of our products that we took, and we need someone to go in and like delete out the dust out of the pictures. like, in Photoshop.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious what like a graphic designer
like
does.
busy work.
Like, yeah.
So,
it's
busy work.
It's like something that like it's got to get done, and like you got to have somebody do it. So it was fine. It was a good like foot in the door. So then my last term of senior year, I still had like some more credits that I needed, but I had done all the graphic design requirements.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, can I like I just asked if I could do my internship class like again. So basically, just take the class over or the second time for the credits. Yeah, okay. And I kept the internship at Grenade, so I like was there the whole year.
Wow, they let you do that?
Yeah, they let me do it, which was sweet. And I was getting paid like minimum wage, so they were happy to have a worker.
Yeah, it was kind of a win-win situation. I mean, not for you as much, but
right.
Well, so I mean, I started getting better and better projects and getting to do cooler stuff. Like I got to lay out their catalogs. I got to meet a lot of cool professional snowboarders that would come by.
Oh, really?
Did you meet Shaun White?
Not Shaun White, but
it's the only one.
The company was owned by Danny Cass, who was like a big-time snowboarder. He won like a silver medal in the Olympics.
Oh, what's his name?
That's pretty
Danny Cass.
Another 1080. Back-to-back 1080s. Palmer is calling it. I'm believing Palmer.
20th annual U.S. Open champion. $20,000 richer as of right now. From Mammoth Lakes, California, riding for Grenade Blows, the new Quicksilver, the silver medalist at the 2002 Olympics, Danny Cass!
And he actually had like a reality TV show on MTV at the time.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
so
like,
an episode? Did you go on an episode?
No, I didn't. Basically, what they would do is they would just travel around, like going to different snowboarding mountains and like drinking a bunch and getting high and then practicing snowboarding and like living this wild lifestyle. But he would like stop by the office every once in a while, and so I got to meet like him a bunch of times, and like he brought in some of his friends that were professional snowboarders. So it was cool. It was fun.
Yeah. Did you snow? Yeah, you don't ski, right? You snowboard primarily.
I snowboard. I also a couple years ago I picked up cross country skiing, which is pretty fun.
Oh yeah.
So what is that?
I've seen that.
Can you explain that a little bit? Like I have no idea.
Yeah. It's so instead of like downhill, it's like skiing on flat areas. So like imagine like just hiking with skis on. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like cross country track or something like that. Could be
and
similar.
It's similar to like snowshoeing, but with snowshoeing you're walking, so it's a lot more work. Like with cross country skiing, you're sliding, and there's little scales on the bottom of the skis that like keep you from sliding backwards. So it's pretty sweet. Like you can go like really far without getting that tired, which is nice.
Can you repeat that? Because isn't it what like I'm assuming like you're just hiking on skis, which is probably tiring as hell for like 2 miles just for like maybe a little hill that you can have fun and ski down, and then you're hiking on flat land again. Like, why don't you just walk in your boots?
So the reason you don't walk in your boots is because you'll just sink in the snow. But like some good like cross country ski tracks are like you'll do a little bit of uphill and then a little bit of downhill, a little bit of uphill. So like
just to keep that speed.
Yeah. It's pretty fun. Like it sounds weird, but it's fun, and it's like super easy and cheap to get into, which is nice because like I got my skis on Craigslist with poles and boots for like $50, really? And then when it snows out, you can just go. You don't need to have like a pass or anything.
A year-long pass. That's I need it. That's the next purchase. I need skis and
I need a snowboard.
And where are you filming right now? Where are you?
So I'm in Massachusetts, but like on the coast. Like I'm a 15-minute walk from the beach, and I'm like pretty much as far south in Massachusetts as you can get. I'm like right on the coast of Rhode Island.
Do they have like trails around there that you could? I might have to come visit.
Yeah. There's some awesome trails like hiking, and then when it snows, you can just cross country ski on them.
Yeah.
Oh, word. Okay.
Yeah.
So like,
I'm all about that.
How long have you been up there for, or did you just recently move out there?
So, like, actually, what kind of brought us here originally is my wife. Her family has like this summer cabin that her grandparents built here in the '60s, and it was just like a spot for like them to all come in the summer and spend the summer and stuff.
Yeah,
I like that.
So we, yep. And so we spent 2 summers ago here, and then we were gone last summer, and then we've been here since November. So like, I don't know, a little over 6 months.
Okay.
And you don't have
go ahead.
Do you have any plans to travel anytime soon? I mean, obviously we're still in lockdown with the corona and everything, but you're kind of making like, I feel like for the first time like since college almost, or leaving Portland, like you're kind of making Massachusetts more of a home than anything, right?
Yeah, a little bit. So this winter we're planning to go down to Mexico, drive our van down there, and we've been to the Baja Peninsula, which is it's a peninsula on the west coast. If you don't know it, look it up on a map. But it's pretty cool. It's 1,000 miles long, so it's pretty much
1,000 miles. Damn.
It sounds like you
1,000
traveled
miles.
that whole 1,000 miles. Have you seen like all 1,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it all. I mean, I've sailed down it, so I've seen like the whole west coast of that peninsula by water, and then I've like traveled a lot in the bottom half by van, which has been pretty sweet. But it's all desert. There's not that many people there. It's absolutely beautiful. If you're like, if you're driving along and you see like a sweet beach, you can just go set up and camp. Like there's no.
Yeah, I need to find pictures of this place. I'll add it when I edit it, but this sounds amazing. Wait, and this is in Mexico?
Yeah, it's in Mexico. It's like northern Baja is like one state of Mexico, and southern Baja is a different state of Mexico. But it's basically like the Wild West, and it's you can just do whatever you want.
Mexican
it's pretty
version.
sweet.
So yeah, I don't want to miss anything either. So graphic design major at Portland State University, but you also were active in sailing, like the sailing team out there, right? Like you.
Yeah.
You had a boat at some point in your life, I know.
Yeah, I have a boat right now. So basically, my parents had a boat when I was growing up.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I remember
cool.
that.
Yeah,
Might have been
and we would do like little weekend sailing trips. It was like a 30-foot boat, so it had like a few beds in it. Like my parents had a little bedroom, and I had a little bed, and my sister had a little bed.
Who initiated that? Your dad? Like, who wanted to get a boat and learn to sail?
I was pretty young. I think I was like, I want to say I was like 6 or 7 when my parents got the boat. And they hadn't really sailed or anything before, so they were kind of like teaching themselves.
Word.
But
that's just, that takes some initiation to go through that.
Yeah. But it's not like, it's pretty fun and it's not super hard. It's kind of like, the boat that we had is like what they call like a cruiser boat. So it's more of like an RV. It's not like a race boat, and it's not like a little like day sailor. It's like something that you can like, it has a little kitchen, and it's got a bed and stuff, a bathroom.
You just stay in there for like any period of time that you need to.
Yeah, and it's they're not like super fast or anything, but they're pretty cool. They're comfortable. It's like just like a weekend getaway sort of thing.
So I assume you almost have experience in all forms, because I like in Portland, what you would do like races, right?
Yeah. So in college, the first week of college, I joined the sailing team, which was
just because you've had experience in it, and it sounds like a fun ass thing to do.
Yeah.
Once you love that,
yeah.
Like Duquesne or something, if they had little like
a
yacht club or something, on the Monongahela River.
Yeah, I wanted to do an extra, like an outside activity. I'm not a huge sports guy, but I wanted to join a club, and the sailing team sounded pretty cool. It was a rec sport.
Yeah.
And so what that was is there were like little 12-foot boats that held 2 people, and you'd race in them.
Okay.
So would you race against other universities?
Yeah. So our district was the Northwest, which included Oregon, Washington, and a little bit of Canada, like British Columbia,
like Vancouver.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So like University of Victoria, we would race against them, but pretty much.
Were you the
2 or 3 weekends a month.
driver?
That's really cool.
Were you the driver, or were you the sail guy?
Yeah, so I was both. I mean, like you kind of start out as the crew, which is the person in the front, and they're like trimming the sails. And the person in the back, the guy that's driving, is called the skipper. So as I got better,
I knew they had names.
I like graduated to the skipper.
Okay,
but yeah,
I was a skipper.
Came up in the world.
I did little dinghy lessons. I was a skipper myself. It's really,
Nice.
I know it's starboard your left side, right?
Starboard is right and port is left.
Okay, a 50-50 shot.
That's crazy.
So I took
his
it.
names for it.
Yeah, I could never get that right. And I remember my brother though. We were on different boats when at Fran's in Annapolis. We took like those lessons. And Alec capsized his, like completely turtled it, and his like mast got stuck. Like in the mud of the Chesapeake, and you know, like he doesn't handle stuff under pressure too well, so he was just like floating, kind of like really upset, like didn't know what to do. I made sure I picked a kid who like this little kid who's been sailing for like I don't know years, so I picked him. I was just driving the thing, and he was doing all the work, so I made out all right.
Nice.
So, but
pretty fun.
There's all these different types of like sailboat categories, obviously. So you raced in college. Is the one you have like that you own and like travel around with? Is that like a daily sailboat like you mentioned before, or?
Yeah. So the boat I have now.
And is that the same one you've always had, or have you upgraded or downgraded?
Yeah. So when I was like, so for my high school graduation present, my mom got me a boat that was like a family friends. They were selling their boat.
High school
and it was
graduation.
That's a nice little
high
present.
school graduation.
That's
Yeah, it was sweet.
That's sick.
It was
like,
nice.
Here's your boat.
It was so it was a 26-foot boat, and it was like
All right.
it had like a little like one bed and a little stove and a tiny bathroom.
That sounds dope, dude.
Yeah, it was sweet. It was sweet.
How many people would you need to drive that thing, sail it?
You could drive it by yourself, but
Okay,
it's
so it had
the
a
more
motor?
people you have, the easier. It had like a little outboard motor, yeah.
Okay.
Just like 5 horsepower, pretty small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were
that's
going
nice.
fast, but it was fine.
So that was your first boat?
Yeah, that was that was actually my second boat. I actually had a boat in like the beginning of high school that I bought. I saved up and I bought it for like I think I bought it for $1,000, and it was a cool little boat. I like fixed it up. It was kind of like someone had just left it to rot, but the real nice thing about it is it had like this like little 5-horse outboard with it that was almost brand new. That was worth a ton of money.
What's that? An outboard?
That's just it's a little motor that like goes in the back, and you can take it off and like put it in your car and carry it around.
Oh yeah,
It's
I
not
know.
like
Okay, I know those things.
It's not like some boats have an inboard motor, which is built in, like
Yeah,
kind of like the motor's
gotcha.
built into your car.
Mm-hmm.
Those
are like the big black things that hang on like the tail of the boat, right?
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, so I had that boat, and then what I ended up doing is I fixed it up and I sold it, but I kept that little outboard engine. So
Hell yeah!
I think I
turn a profit.
I think
dude.
I sold the boat for like what I bought it for, but I like got to keep the engine, which was
the
sweet.
best part of it.
Yeah.
You can just use definitely
that
the most
something
valuable.
else. Yeah.
You were a
Yeah, so
little
when I got
hustler
that-
when you were young.
So when I got that boat from my mom for my high school graduation, I was able to put that outboard on that boat, which was
Sell
sweet.
the old one, yeah.
Yep. So in college, like that boat for most of my college, it was down in California, like near my mom's house, where I bought it or where she bought it, and where you know
At a yacht or a port or something.
at a marina.
Marina.
Yeah. Yes. So then in college, I actually did. I hired a guy to put it on the back of a truck or on a trailer and tow it up to Portland, so that I could have the boat in Portland, which was pretty sweet. So I could like take friends out on it. That was, I think I did that like my junior or senior year.
So
It was sweet.
Could
So
you
that
use
probably
like
made
the
you,
school's marina, or did you just have to find your own?
No, the spot that the school kept their boats was like on a smaller river that didn't have like, it wasn't deep enough for my boat.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, I got a slip at another marina. That was probably like 30 minutes from the school driving.
Word.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I would. Yeah. A boat in college sounds like a good ass time to me. I know one of my friends had one for like my senior year, and we got to take it out on like the rivers in Pittsburgh.
Nice.
Just a big boat guy, big cigars, good music, some beers.
I was just say, yeah, that's a good
Good
thing.
time.
You know, nice summer day, just like chilling.
Yeah.
You know, in a boat, just drinking and stuff like that. Who wouldn't enjoy that?
So I don't know where to take this next. I don't know whether to follow like your boat trails, like to what you boat, or I want to
Probably
get
going for
into some journeys you've been on. Like what?
Well,
I guess like
okay,
what was
so-
the first? What was the first like
So-
trip you've? Yeah, go ahead. You lead.
Oh,
this.
I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. So,
Perfect.
So that boat that I had in Portland, I ended up selling that, and then my
Were you in
girlfriend at the
college
time.
still?
I think I had just graduated.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I was dating a girl at the time who's now my wife, and
Aw,
Congratulations.
that's so cute.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
So
Shout out,
I sold that boat, and I had graduated, and I was working at like a little marina, running the sailing school, and I
teaching
bought.
kids?
I was teaching, but I was like mainly like I hired the teachers, and I was like doing their scheduling and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
So you were like the manager.
Board,
I was
yeah,
gonna say,
board
yeah.
of directors or something.
I was the program manager for the sailing school, so it was
That's a good
a cool
gig.
job. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got that right out of college?
So I was working at that place, Grenade Gloves, doing like graphic
Okay,
design for
okay.
them, and then it kind of like fell through, and they like basically were like, they're like, oh yeah, we don't have any work for you, and so I was like,
What?
so I was like, are you firing me? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah. What?
Like, what's going on here?
Yeah,
What was that?
so
Grenade
and then-
gloves? That one.
Yeah, the CEO
You
was
in-
like he was a dick. He was like,
you interned with them for a year on like
You
no
would think-
money, pretty much.
Right. You would think you would get a full-time job after you were done with school because you were with them for a whole year.
yeah. So I did get a full time job, and I was there for like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 months, and then like they started like losing a bunch of money, and the CEO was like a huge dick, and then like my boss quit because like he was such a dick to
everything just
her.
started crumbling. It sounds like.
Yeah, and so I like knew that I had this like sailing job like kind of lined up. So when they're like, oh, like, you know, like we don't have any work for me, you like, you know, like don't come in this week. I was like, okay, and then like another week goes by, and they're like, we don't have any work for you. I'm like, so basically I was like, okay, like, are you firing me?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we don't have anything like for you. And I'm like, well, I'm not quitting. Like, are you firing me? And then they're like,
just tell me, let me know.
basically, yeah, they're like, yeah, we're firing you. So then I was able to like get unemployment from that.
dude, what a
for, like-
bizarre situation.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
a stalemate. They just didn't want to let you go, but they didn't want to keep you either.
Keep you right. They're like, we don't have
Exactly.
any work for you, but
But it was, I mean, it ended up being fine because I had that other like sailing job lined up, and in like a couple months, because it like, didn't start till the summer.
Okay.
But it worked out.
So you
But
were
so-
saying your girlfriend at the time, she had a boat or?
No. So she was on. I met Leela through the sailing team, and I had that boat, and I ended up selling it, and then I found this other boat that was going for like super cheap. So this was like
Oh, yeah.
this is like the beginning of the recession. So this is like 2008.
2008. Okay. Where do you look for boats online? Like Craigslist or?
Yeah, I found this one on Craigslist.
Okay. Damn. Anything on
it's kind of
Craigslist.
sketchy. Like, yeah, I was about to say.
Well, so this boat had been listed for like a year, and it hadn't sold, and the guy like kept dropping the price.
Yeah.
So
and at
I
some
went-
point you were just went for it.
Yeah, well, so I went and looked at it, and then I did like basically when you buy a big boat and you spend a lot of money, you do the same thing you do when you buy a house and you get it like surveyed. So you like pay a guy to come look at it and go through the whole thing and tell you like
an
any
evaluation.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. Yeah. So then he did the survey and he like gave me a list of like stuff that needed to be fixed, and I like added up all of what that would cost and I like took it out of the price, and so like the price
and
dropped,
it still
like,
made sense.
Yeah, it made sense. It was like a pretty cheap boat. I had to do a lot of work.
How big was this?
You got it for a steal.
How big was this boy?
So this boat is, I still have the boat. It's a 35-foot boat.
Okay, so this is the one that's, so you've had all those boats in the past, and this is the one you've had. Okay.
Yep. So
What's
this is the
name?
boat I got now.
Did you name it?
Yeah, so we changed the name, but the name now is Bryza.
Bryza.
Where'd that come from?
It's a boy.
Yeah, Bryza is like a, it's like in Greek mythology, it is a, like a goddess that protects sailors from like
Really?
any harm.
Makes sense.
Dude,
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
There's a lot of Greek
that's a cool
mythology
name.
names out there
Yeah.
for the boats. That's why I would want to buy a boat just so I can name it and put it on the boat. That'd be like probably my favorite part of getting a boat.
Yeah.
There's so many bad names out there.
Yeah, right. I'm sure you know very well.
Do you have any that comes to mind?
Well, so when we bought the boat, like the previous owner was like a really big fan of Sherlock Holmes, and so
was it Watson or something?
No, it was the boat's name was Baker Street Irregular,
What?
which is
What
yeah.
is that?
So I
that
had no
mean?
idea like what it means or anything, so I had to like look it up, and what it is like in Sherlock Holmes, he lived on Baker Street. And the Baker Street Irregulars were like little homeless kids that he would pay money to like spy on people for him.
Okay.
Wow.
So I don't know why you would name a
cool.
boat that. But
That's kind of cool, but yeah, I don't know why I name a boat
Yeah,
unless he
that's-
was like, spying on the low,
Probably was.
doing some surveillance.
and like
for
every
Russians.
time you had to say
Probably
that,
kids in his
like
boat or
over the
something like
radio
that.
or something, people would be like, "What the heck?"
Yeah, like, don't let this guy leave the harbor.
Like, watch out for this guy.
So where's Bryza right now?
So we bought the boat in like 2008, and I spent like 6 months fixing it up, and then in 2000, wait, let's see, sorry, no, this is getting my dates wrong here. No, sorry, 2000. Actually, I think it was a little bit later. Bought it in 2011, and spent like 6 months fixing it up, and then in 2012 we left Portland on the boat, and we sailed it down to Mexico.
Just for a vacation, or?
No, so I quit my job, and Leela, she had about a year of school left, and she dropped out she dropped out with the intention of going back.
Yeah.
Right.
And we had both saved up some money, and we're kind of like, she was over school for then, and I was kind of done. I was like sick of working, and we had like kind of saved up a bit of money, and we're like, well, let's just go travel and see how long we can make this money like last. And when we run out, we'll like go find another job and figure it out.
Living life on the edge. So how long? How long was that trip? Like, how long does it typically take to get from where you were leaving to Mexico?
I mean, so you can sail from Portland like all the way to like San Diego. You could do it in like a week and a half. But
It's not bad.
Damn, I was thinking like 3 days.
Yeah.
sailboats go pretty slow. We like ran into all sorts of problems. Like we had engine problems, we had like ripped sails, we had like all this shit. So
Jesus Christ.
it
That sounds
Straight
took
to the
us like
sea.
a week. What's that?
So you got stranded at sea, like a little bit.
Well, a little bit, yeah. So
That's a phobia,
so like
big time.
right away when we like left the river out of Oregon, we hit like a huge storm, and like it was Leela and I and like two friends on board, so there's 4 of us, and all of us were seasick. Like all of us are puking. It was
Oh no.
like huge waves. I mean, probably
Oh,
20-foot
God.
waves, and like the wind is howling, and like on the radio they give weather reports, and it just like predicted to get worse and worse and worse.
Oh hell no! I'm turning around and getting my master's or something. I'm back to Portland.
Like, we're going home.
So,
or at least the closest.
So we get like, this is like, you know, day 3, and we're like, we've like got out of the river. We're like halfway down the coast of Oregon, and like we're under sail, but like we go to start the motor, and the motor's running, but it's like it's got coolant in it, just like your car in the radiator. Mm-hmm. And that starts leaking out all over the place, and like that's a problem because like if you don't have coolant, the engine overheats, and if you lose the engine, it's like kind of shitty, right?
What is it, like a fluid that was leaking out?
Yeah, exactly. This fluid coolant.
Ew.
So what we decided to do, like it was pretty nasty out. We decided to like go into like the nearest harbor, which was still like 8 hours away. So
oh my god, dude.
We sailed and we were like, basically what we had to do is like every 15 minutes someone had to take a water bottle and like add water to like the coolant.
Yeah, from over here.
Every 15 minutes for like 5+ hours. You said 8 hours. Yeah. Or what would happen? Like, were you gonna like sink or something? Like, I don't know how drastic.
No, like the engine would like overheat, and then it would just be like totally screwed. You'd have to buy a whole new engine, which is like thousands.
But how would you be able to like? Would you just wait for the right wind to be able to sail where you need to go at that point? If like the engine were to overheat or something like that.
Yeah, but we were trying to like not get to that point, basically.
Yeah, well, obviously, that's what I'm just curious. Like that sounds terrifying.
So we ended up like getting into Coos Bay, which is like it's like I said halfway down Oregon.
Hi everyone, we are here in Coos Bay, Oregon, and we just wanted to give an update on everything that we've been through for the past.
The entrance to Coos Bay is like super narrow, and there's these huge waves and huge wind, and so we're like 1.5 miles from the entrance, and
the harbor,
you know, I can see marina? Like exactly, the harbor entrance, and I can see it like in binoculars. But it's like it's gnarly.
You're like land ho.
Yeah. So like I hear on the radio like somebody's calling and they're like, you know, sailboat that's entering Coos Bay, or like, you know, white sailboat that's coming in with a blue stripe, and I'm like, holy shit, like they're calling us. So I was like, okay, so I call them back, and it's the Coast Guard, and they have a Coast Guard station there. And the guy has just been like, hey, I know it's pretty like nasty conditions out, but I just want to let you know that like we're watching you. We have like rescue boats standing by waiting if you need anything.
Jesus Christ.
So
what were they thinking? Were they thinking like you were in distress? I mean, you were.
It was basically like to get into that harbor is like pretty tricky because it's such a narrow entrance, and the waves are so big that they were just like worried about us getting washed up on the rocks or something. Yeah.
So,
but that made me feel like it made me feel like really good that they were watching. Like I was happy we have that shit. You know, like happy that I paid my taxes.
So they reached out to you, like the Coast Guard.
They reached out to us, and then after we got in and everything, basically it just kept getting worse and worse. And an hour after we got in, they just closed the harbor entrance and they said no boats in or out, and it was because it was like too dangerous because the waves were so big.
Oh my god! And so you just made it in time. Oh my god!
We just made it, and it was closed for 3 days. That entrance.
So I wonder if you would have like turned around or just looked for the next harbor.
I mean, we would have like probably just kept going and looked for the next one, but there's not a lot of harbors between like there and San Francisco, which is like
because 8 hours could have turned into like three days of like just 15-minute rotations. You probably would have ran out of water, honestly.
That's an exciting experience.
So we fixed the engine in those 3 days, and then the weather broke and we left, and then there, you know, after a big storm like that, usually it's very calm, and it was super calm. So like we were sailing a bit, and then like there's no wind, so we decided to turn the motor on, and we're motoring for a couple hours, and then all of a sudden like the motor just shuts off, and we're like doing everything we can to get it started, like, I've got like a couple books on like diesel engines. We're like looking shit up. We're trying all
You
this
start
stuff.
reading some books like, all right, what's the issue here? What's going on here?
Exactly. It's like there's no internet. You can't like look shit up. Like there's no cell phone reception.
Is there a warning when the engine stalls like that? Like does it like is there a warning, or is like the boat moving and just like it's like you put the brakes on a car almost?
I feel like it's probably
Well, there's no brakes. Like you'll just still glide forward.
Yeah, you'll
obviously.
still glide, but even like the moment, I guess you probably weren't going at that big of a speed.
No, I mean like the fastest the boat can go is like 7 miles an hour.
Okay.
Dang.
Yeah.
So then what? So were you able to fix this problem? Or?
So we tried everything we could, and we couldn't get the engine started again. So basically, and there was no wind. So we're in the Pacific Ocean. We're 75 miles offshore. We have no engine. There's no wind. It's like perfectly like the water's smooth as glass.
Very calm, yeah.
But luckily, there's like this current that goes from the north to the south there called the Humboldt Current, and it's like a 1 mile an hour current. So we just floated on this current 1 mile an hour for an entire week until we got to the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco.
Bro, what? 1 mile an hour?
Oh, crazy.
1 mile an hour.
It sounded so nice though, like having just like clear, like if everything but the boat wasn't broken, that would sound like a really nice, peaceful trip.
Yeah. I mean, what are you guys doing for free time, like on that boat, while you're gliding at 1 mile an hour? Like, I don't know how you keep yourself occupied.
We were like, reading books, playing cards, listening to music, watching movies. Like we had an iPad that we would watch movies on, and there's like 4 of us. It's like me and my girlfriend at the time and 2 really good friends. So it was. It was
sounds
fun.
like a good time. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that sounds really fun.
Yeah. So then we got to San Francisco and we had no engine. And then in San Francisco, I don't know if you know, but like it's famous for being like super windy, and it's crazy windy as soon as we get there. So like we have the sails up and we sail under the Golden Gate Bridge, and you're dodging all these huge oil tankers and all these boats coming out, and we don't have an engine, so we're just like sailing our way in. And as soon as we get under the bridge, the wind picks up even more, and ends up ripping our mainsail. So then we're just sailing under just the front sail, which is called the jib. And we were able to, find a spot to anchor the boat. And then the next day we started working on trying to fix the engine, and we took the sail down and we sewed it up. And
what caused the sail to rip? Was it the wind, solely the wind?
Basically the wind was pushing against, and we did what is called an accidental jibe, which is like when the sail's on one side and then the wind like kind of changes directions and it slams the sail to the other side, and just that momentum and with so much force it just like it ripped at like a seam. So we were able to like put it back together and re-sew it.
Okay, that's impressive though. Mother Nature.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it was quite an adventure.
Right. Just going from like Oregon to San Francisco. God damn it,
This is like a whole week right there.
So after we fixed the engine, we fixed the sails. We were there for like a week or 2 weeks just like working on all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then we left and we kept going, but we decided we're just going to take it slow. We're going to just kind of go into every harbor that we could, enjoy ourselves. Like not try and rush, and just not try and push the boat too hard. So we spent
Go ahead.
We spent like a good amount of time just kind of like harbor hopping all the way down Southern California and into Mexico.
That sounds like a really good time. And how long was that? Like months versus weeks, or? I
want to say. So we left Portland the end of September. I think we left September 26th. And then we got to Santa Barbara just before Thanksgiving. And I remember that because we actually like rented a marina slip and like put the boat in a slip, and then we like we had a friend there, and he drove us back up to the Bay Area so we could have Thanksgiving at my mom's house in the Bay Area.
Oh, no way. That worked out perfectly.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Is that,
sweet.
So is that real typical of a trip that you would go through, you know, having to deal with like a storm, like engine problems and stuff like that? Or
I mean, like, yes and no. Like, we should have left earlier. Like, we should have left Oregon, like, you know, the end of August, beginning of September. But we were pushing it, like, because we had to do all this work on the boat. And so, like, we hit storm season.
okay.
And then the engine problems, like, you know, this boat is from 1971. It's an old-ass engine. And,
Boy.
Wow.
So, and part of it is, like, some of the stuff that I just didn't know as far as, like, maintenance-wise to, like, prevent this stuff and having spare parts and stuff on board.
Yeah.
But I think if it can be something that happens to anybody, but, like, you know, you want to be prepared for that not to happen, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while you're traveling down to Mexico, like, what's eating at your wallet more than anything? Is it, like, the gas for the boat? Food?
No, I mean, like, so the boat...
Because it seems like you'd be pretty frugal with it. Yeah, it seems like once you have all the pieces together, like a boat, good friends, some food.
Yeah,
I'm sure you pack a lot of stuff before you go too.
Our boat holds 50 gallons and it's diesel, so it's like $3 a gallon, right? So it's like $150 to $200 to fill up the tank.
Okay, I thought gas for boats were like super expensive.
It can be. It depends on like where you get it.
Okay.
But I would say, like, you know, Southern California was super expensive. Yeah, it still is.
I could imagine. I could imagine.
Yeah.
Just like groceries and stuff. But if, you know, you're living on the boat, so you're not paying rent anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Down in Mexico, things are cheap. Like,
yeah.
Sure.
That's probably why you spend so much time down there, just because you can live a very happy, beautiful life and not be spending like that San Francisco wages.
Yeah, exactly. It's super cheap. You can get like good food. It's beautiful weather. The only like downside is like they only give you a 6-month visa, so you have to leave every 6 months. So you have to like cross the border back into the States, you know, and once every 6 months, and then you can come back in. Yeah.
So what? You have to come back to America and renew it.
You basically just have to like cross the border.
You just have to leave the country and then go back.
And then come back.
Okay.
Yeah, they just give a stamp. Like some countries it's different, but with the U.S. and Mexico, like you could cross back into the United States and then turn around and go back into Mexico.
Oh, it's really like that? Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Because I know, we've had people who live in like Australia on the show and whatnot, and to maintain a visa there for more than 6 months or a year, you have to work in like a remote location where like people who live there like don't want to work, like kind of like farmland, like outback area. So like to again like continue your visa, you got to work in I think it was like 3 months, just like somewhere out in the outback, and that's like how you can renew your visa for another year. It's just such a bizarre,
interesting, like
bizarre program. Yeah, it's almost like give me like 100 push-ups and I'll renew that for another month or something. Damn, what was I gonna say? Okay, so highlights I know of. You lived in South Africa for a while, working with the brewery. I know you biked probably all of Vietnam, which is a lot more beautiful than I really expected.
That's really insane.
Well,
you've converted. I know you. Converted your van into
an RV,
a home, pretty much. Van to an RV. No. So where do you want to take this from here? We go chronological order like we've been doing. We can hit some highlights that you like
Jump
to
around,
do.
Let's go chronological because I got a few more trips that I kind of like work. Yeah, that all work together.
Like I said, those are the highlights. So I want to connect those dots a little bit.
Yeah. So after the boat, we loved it down in Mexico in the Sea of Cortez, which is kind of like, it's between the Baja Peninsula and the mainland, and it's a 1,000-mile long sea with like warm water. It's beautiful.
I've heard of it, like crystal blue water.
Yeah. So we
Sounds nice.
we decided to leave the boat down there when we came back to the States. And
You can do that?
Yeah, you can leave it there for up to 10 years. I mean, we pay at a marina to leave it there, but it's still there now to this day.
10 years.
So we went to Maine, and we needed some money, and so we found these jobs in Maine, like near Leela's sisters, my wife's sister's family, and we worked on some sailboats up there, which was fun. And then the plan was to like just go back to the boat after a summer of working up there, or a summer and a fall.
Did you fly from Mexico to Maine?
Yeah, we flew from Mexico up to Maine. Well, we flew.
What's that, like 8 hours or so? That's like polar opposites of.
Yeah, it was. Well, we flew from. Yeah, we took a bus from Mexico up to Tucson, Arizona, and then we flew from Tucson to Washington D.C., where like Leela's other sister was living, and we actually bought like a van there, like off Craigslist.
Did you? Damn.
Yeah. Like
you guys just improvise.
Yeah, kind of. We knew we needed a car for the summer, and we didn't have a car, so we bought this like $700 like super old van, and we drove that up to Maine, and that's what we had for the summer. And then the plan was to, we actually hung around like the Philadelphia area that winter for Christmas, and then we were gonna drive down to Mexico, but right before Christmas, I think it was like 4 or 5 days before Christmas, I was snowboarding, and I fell and I broke my wrist, and didn't have any health insurance at that time.
Oh no!
So we were like,
did you land? Did you land on it wrong, or did you hit a tree or something?
No, it was like the weirdest thing. I was like the snow was pretty shitty, and like East Coast snowboarding's not that great anyway.
No, it's just ice and some fake snow.
Right.
So I was going through the park, and I was actually on a rail.
Oh shit!
So I was grinding, and I slipped, and I came off the rail, and I landed on my back. And as I landed, it's the weirdest thing, but like my wrist and my hand like hit my chest, and that's what caused the bone to snap. It's like so strange.
That sounds so
Say that again. Like you're. Yeah,
so
you
I
cut out
landed
for
on
like
my
a
back.
second. So
I landed on my back, and
Off the rail? Yeah.
off the rail, and my hand hit my chest, and it caused my my wrist to snap.
Really?
What the?
Yeah.
What? Was it just made out of ice or something? Like that's.
Yeah. What the hell?
I don't know, but like,
did it hurt like a bitch too when it happened? I'm sure.
Like it had to.
it was like, I think I had like some adrenaline kicking in, and I like knew something was wrong, but like it was under like my glove and my hands, and so so I just like, I sat up, and I was like, Leela was snowboarding with me, and I was just like, I gotta go into the lodge, like I like messed up I did something wrong, like and she was just like, oh, you're fine, like let's do another run. And I was like, no, I was like, no, something's wrong. Like, I need to go in the lodge. Like, we need to go right now. So I like get up, and I was like able to snowboard down into the lodge. And we're in the lodge, and I'm like, my wrist is messed up. And she's like, okay, like let me see, like take your glove off. And so like I took it off.
It's like all purple and blue. Probably.
It was like all like the whole, instead of straight, it was like bulged up like that. Whoa. It was like all these bones were snapped off and like pushed up. Oh, and I like, I saw it, and I was like, I instantly passed out.
Just like, oh my, did you?
I would have passed out
too. Yeah. Oh shit.
You're not the only
one.
So
I had to like go to the hospital, and then I had to get surgery and all this shit, and it was like, without insurance, Jesus. That's super expensive.
That sounds shitty. Was Leela with you, or she just stayed on the mountain? She's like,
no, she was with me. She was with me.
That's horrible, though. That sucks.
Yeah.
So I got surgery and everything, and then, like, we're like, okay, well, like, let's just go back to the boat for a few months, because we had a little bit of money saved up from working on sailboats up in Maine, and then, like, let's go back to Portland, and I'll get a real job to pay off like my medical debt. And Leela,
so what were you gonna? You were gonna drive to Mexico, sail back up to Portland, and.
Well, no. So what we did is we drove. So what we ended up doing is we drove we did drive to Mexico in that van that we bought.
Was this van the really cute like hippie van you used to have?
It's a 1984
I need to get picture. What's the model?
Toyota van. It's just the model name is just van.
Van,
like
that's
Toyota
like,
van.
Just call it van.
You know what it is. It's almost like it's not like I don't know. It's almost like the Scooby-Doo mystery team.
I was just about to say that.
You'd recognize it if you saw it though. I love
Yeah.
the shape of that thing, dude. It's just like it's like a mini bus kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
like Volkswagen. Volkswagen used to have those type of vans too.
yeah,
Like
it kind
van.
of looked like
Yeah.
Super similar.
What'd you end up doing?
So we drove the van down to North Carolina and we picked up Leela's brother and his girlfriend.
Okay.
And the four of us drove to Mexico together. And we put the boat back in the water and we spent like 2 or 3 months sailing around. And then we put the boat back in the marina and we drove up to California in the van. And Leela's brother and his girlfriend flew home from California and we drove up to Portland. Okay. And Leela went back to school and finished her degree. And
good for her.
Yeah, she finished up her degree. And
what was her major? Do you remember?
Yeah, geography.
Geography.
So she graduated with a geography major.
It's crazy how all that fits together.
Yeah, it's good to have a skipper / wife who's also a geography major.
Yeah. And then then I was like super lucky. I was looking for a job, and after like 2 months, I got an interview with this company Yakima. They make like roof racks and bike racks for cars. And so I went in and I ended up getting the job.
Was this graphic design related or?
Yeah, graphic design. They have an in-house graphic design team that does like packaging, website, photography stuff.
Okay. Word.
Yeah. So I worked there and it was in the office and it was great. It was awesome. And so we lived in Portland for 2 years. And then, Leela graduated and then got a job and we were both working office jobs, 9 to 5s, and we were both getting like super burnt out. And our nieces and nephews were all like super young, and all of our families on the East Coast. So Leela's like, hey, like I kind of want to move to the East Coast, and I was like, yeah, like let's do it. Like we were both kind of like just sick of the 9 to 5 office jobs. So
yeah, this is like the second time that's happened where, the 9 to 5 routine is just getting a little old. Like, what's your? I know I'm sure there's variations to like the different. What I'm curious is how many months do you get to where you start getting sick of the job?
Well,
like the normal like rat race situation, because like a lot of people are in that situation, but it takes like gusto to be like, you know what, fuck it, we're just gonna sail to Mexico and live off what we got until we don't.
I think you already had
like,
that in you.
That's like that's something a lot of people have innate.
Well, so I'd been working at Yakima 2 years when we decided that we were kind of like we're done.
That's a good amount of time. 2 or 3 years, good transition stage.
It was actually 2, but yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But we also we try and save up money so that we can do stuff like this. Like we're just like super frugal. Yeah. Like don't go out to eat a ton. Try and always just always be putting our paychecks in the bank.
Yeah, and you guys never go out to bars or really concerts.
I mean, we do, but we don't do it every night. Like we try and save.
Yeah, you're smart with it, which is
so. Yeah, I'm sure you probably set like a certain percentage of your income to spend on like necessary things, and then you have the rest that you kind of put aside. Yep. When you want to travel and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
So Leela says she want to go back to the East Coast.
Yeah, and we were thinking about moving to the East Coast. And so what we ended up doing is if we're gonna move cross country, we have had all our stuff, and let's buy an RV. So we bought
because at this point you have the van, the 1970 or old van, and then you have the boat in Mexico, right?
Yeah, the boat's in Mexico. The van actually it had some problems and it the radiator blew up on it, so we scrapped it.
Oh.
So yeah, we so the van was gone, and we decided like, hey, like let's get an RV. And I started looking, and I find this RV on Craigslist. Like we looked at a couple of them, but we found this old RV. It was like a 1986, and the guy was like not asking that much money for it, and it had like super low miles because like, you know, most of the time they're just sitting. People don't drive them that much.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's like, you know, let's make a sweet road trip, and let's do like cross country with all our shit. And it was winter. It was going to be winter. So we decided, we got like this thing called the Mountain Collective Ski Pass. And it gives you 2 days at 14 different ski resorts. So what we did,
or?
They have a list of these 14. Okay. And so the pass is pretty cheap. I think the pass was like $350 or something. But
is it a range across America though, or is it just in like the West Coast?
It's 14 in America. Most of them are on the West Coast, but you know, there's like most of them are like Colorado and West, but there was like Vermont and stuff in there too.
Okay, word.
What we did is we would go to a ski resort and we'd ski or snowboard, and we'd just keep the RV in the parking lot and spend the night there. And so
really?
We're not paying for hotels or anything. We're sleeping in the RV. But that thing ate up gas, so that was kind of expensive.
Yeah, I could imagine.
I'm sure.
But I guess I forgot to say, like, for the work part of it, like, Leela went and quit her job, and I went in to quit my job with Yakima to be like, hey, I'm moving to the East Coast, like, I'm gonna give you like, and like, I went to my boss, and she was like, I just quit like 20 minutes ago. And I was
way.
What?
Everybody's just like leaving.
She's going to the East Coast too.
So I was like, okay, like, she's like, you got to go to my boss and like tell her that you're like leaving because you know, I just quit.
Yeah.
So I went to her boss, and she was like, hey, like, you know, like, we're gonna be really short staffed. Do you want to stay on like and work remotely, like, while you travel and then from the East Coast?
Really?
And I was like,
yeah, why not?
I was like, hell yeah, like, and so I was like super lucked out. This was almost 4 years ago now, and and I've been working remotely for them the whole time, so pretty crazy.
And it's pretty easy for you to work remotely?
Yeah, as long as I have Wi-Fi. A lot of my stuff is, or all of my stuff is project based, which means like I'll get a project, I'll download all the stuff I need, and then I can go offline while I work on it. And then when it's done, I get back and I just upload it, send it all, get the feedback. So yeah. So
that's
I was
a good
working
gig,
that
dude. I'm happy that worked out.
I was so lucky, and I'm still lucky. You know, I'm lucky to have that. For sure.
So, like, I got one question. Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask a quick question. So, like, for someone that's trying to get to that point where you're at now, like that lifestyle, do you have any types of insights or ideas as to what they could potentially do to get to that point?
Well, I mean, like, honestly, with this whole, like, coronavirus stay-at-home thing, a lot of people are working remotely anyway, and I think that companies are going to start seeing the benefits of it more and more. I mean, they're gonna like save money on rent if they have a smaller office or no office at all. Like,
or no office, yeah. So there's the skyscrapers in downtown, like the AC in them, all the snacks they provide. Yeah, I can't imagine how much they would save by just keeping it empty. But yeah, I'm all in favor for it, is what I'm saying.
Definitely agree.
I guess like my advice would be like, I wasn't looking for it. It would it landed in my lap, and I was super lucky. But if I had gone to my boss and been like, "Hey, I want to work remotely," she probably would have said yes right away. Like, I could have been doing this even longer. So I would say, like, don't be afraid to like ask the question. I mean, the worst that they can say is no, or like maybe say like, "I want to try it out a couple days a week," you know, or whatever.
Yeah. Right. And not only don't be afraid to ask the question, but don't be afraid to like, you know, seize opportunities to like, don't let a job hold you down, because like it seems like you got lucky in the situation too, but you put yourself in the situation where like you made up your mind that you were gonna quit or you were leaving regardless, and without knowing it, you put them in a situation where they couldn't get rid of you. So,
right.
So yeah, you got to put yourself in that situation, but it worked out perfectly. So that's
yeah. So yeah, then we drove across country. We snowboarded at 10 different resorts. We hit 28 states. We drove the RV down to. What's that?
Is that when the one long trip officially began?
Actually, like One Long Trip, which for those of you that don't know, that's like our blog and our website is onelongtrip.com. But we actually
told me about that.
Yeah, we started that when we left Portland on the first time on the sailboat. So that's been going.
Oh, really?
For like,
so you had the whole adventure on there?
Yeah, that's been going for like maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 years now.
And on Instagram, it's like it's one dot long dot trip, right?
Yeah. If you just search One Long Trip, like all spelled out, like we'll come up. Yeah. So we in the RV, we actually like we hit a bunch of ski resorts, and then we went down to Mexico, put the boat in the water. We sailed for a few months, took the boat out of the water, got back in the RV, and we made it our way to the East Coast. And along the way, we hit 28 states.
Oh shit! I thought you were going from Portland to the East Coast, but you went down to.
We were,
Mexico
but
kind of just.
Yeah. And if you go to like onelongtrip.com, you can see like our map, because I put a map from each year, like everywhere we traveled.
That's really cool. You should definitely check that out, Mario. It's kind of unfathomable to think like, damn, like, well, you guys really just travel like nonstop, so it makes sense, I guess. But it's a lot of maps on that thing.
So once we got to the East Coast, we like posted up for that fall, and then that fall, Leela and I got married.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering where that fit into this whole timeline.
Yeah, and so then after the wedding, we were kind of like, okay, like I was working remotely, and I was like, like I'm working remotely. She wasn't working, but our expenses were super low because we weren't paying rent.
Yeah.
And so we're like, let's just keep traveling. Like, we love traveling. And, like, I'm super lucky to have this, like, remote job right now. Like, might as well make the most of it.
Because the worst case scenario was your, like, default plan anyway, which is, like, go until you run out of money and then just find a new job.
Right, when you need it.
Yeah, exactly. So, that winter, we decided to go like visit our friends who live in South Africa, and they like run a brewery. And so like to get to South Africa. Yeah, they run a beer brewery in South Africa. But to get there,
so clutch.
It's called Drifter.
Huh.
Yep.
Might need to try those beers sometimes.
Yeah. They're good stuff. So we to get to South Africa, you have to go through like somewhere in Europe to like transfer planes. And we were transferring through Amsterdam, and it was going to be the same price to stay in Amsterdam for a week. So we're like, fuck it, let's stay in Amsterdam for a week. We flew to Amsterdam. We stayed there a week. Then we flew down to South Africa, and we were there 3 months, which is that was the longest that we were allowed to stay on our visa.
Really?
So we worked in our friend's brewery in exchange for housing. Like they put us up, and we worked in the brewery. At the time, they were expanding. They were basically quadrupling their size. So we were doing a lot of work, like installing new equipment, like running new plumbing, electricity, like.
And these are your friends too? Where'd you meet these guys?
So the girl Anna went to college with us and lived in the dorms with Leela. I think they're on the same floor. And then she did a study abroad in Cape Town, South Africa, and she met Nick, who was her boyfriend at the time. And so
she just ended up.
Yeah, she ended up living there, working at the brewery with him. They started together. And Nick had come to Oregon, and like we had met there and hung out and become really good friends.
Okay. Huh, that's a small world, and you guys seize that opportunity too.
Do they live in South Africa now? Is that like their permanent?
Yeah, they live there. I mean, he's from Cape Town, South Africa, and she is there on a work visa. And so yeah, they worked at the brewery and lived there. And then when we got to South Africa, we're like, we want to keep traveling, but we didn't really know like where we were gonna go. Mm-hmm. So while we were there, we're like, oh, we're already like halfway around the world. We might as well travel, like instead of going back to the States and then trying to fly somewhere else. It'd be like too expensive.
Yeah, maybe check out some more of Africa or something.
Yeah. Well, so what we did is we checked out a bunch of South Africa, like flying in South Africa, like from one city to another, so cheap.
What's the culture like in Cape, like in South Africa? Yeah. Is it more Americanized or Europe influence?
Europeanized.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that.
The right word.
I'm curious.
You know, it's really weird. It's very different. Like,
'cause I've heard so much about it. It was like such a major destination as of recent years.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a little bit of a culture shock for me because it's like first world. Like you have like, you know, huge towers. You got Starbucks, Pizza Hut, like stuff that we have here. But then, you know, it's also third world. Like right next to that, there's like shacks and shanty towns and people
Zimbabwe.
that are like,
yeah.
I mean, people even in the city, it's like, you know, it's just like the rich and the poor are living together.
Yeah,
it's not separated.
Yeah, I've seen places,
it seemed like it worked out more or less. Like there's not much discrimination towards the people who lived in the city versus the people who lived, you know, outside.
Yeah, I mean, like there is, and there's it's really complicated. There's this deep rooted history of like apartheid and separation and like like honestly, like most of the white people there have money because they took it from the black people during apartheid, like during the separation. So like, but like, you know, that was a couple generations ago.
Yeah, but it wasn't hundreds of years ago. It wasn't hundreds of years ago either.
I was like, it wasn't probably.
It wasn't that long ago.
That's super
which
interesting.
Which is crazy. It's, I mean, like, we still have tons of problems with racism in our country.
Yeah, that's why I was curious what it, that's why I was
and
curious about.
that was like a lot, that was, you know, wasn't that long ago either, but it was longer ago.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So I think, apartheid was probably like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, it was, it was not that long ago. And so it's obviously like something that they're still like working out and dealing with and will be for a long time, if not forever.
A long time,
but like,
if America's any indication.
It's getting better.
Yeah, that's good. Because that's what I'm most curious
about. I didn't feel
about
like hostility
in travel
or
stores and traveling.
Anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah, I didn't think it was like a hostile environment, but I'm just curious. Because like...
Was there a lot of... I was just going to say, was there like a lot of English there? Were you able to, like language-wise, kind of adjust easily?
Oh, yeah. So pretty much everybody in South Africa speaks English, or most people do, a majority of people. The national language is Afrikaans, which is...
I've seen that.
It's like a mix of Dutch, English, and like I believe Zulu, if not. But it's kind of this weird mix, and I don't understand any of that.
Like? Oh yeah.
But they like my friend who grew up there, he was required to learn that in school growing up, but he doesn't even speak it now.
He never needs to use it. Yeah.
No, he uses English. I mean, he uses a little bit, but he mainly uses English.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in hearing how that sounds.
Yeah, and the culture in Amsterdam was kind of just typical European, right? Because that's why I'm most curious. Not the sites are beautiful and the history is super interesting too of all these places that you can travel to and whatnot. But I'm super interested on like the modern day culture on what places are like, because it's so different from America, from my limited experience. Yeah,
and like really like the best way to experience that or like learn about it is just go and like immerse yourself in it
and live in it. Yeah.
So from South Africa, we decided we wanted to keep traveling. So what we did is we flew to Thailand, and we were traveling around in Thailand by bus, like kind of backpacking, but just traveling by bus within the country.
I've heard really good things about Thailand. It's just beautiful looking.
It was cool, but
too.
It's cheap, but there's so much tourism, and it's like a lot of like party tourism and drinking that it wasn't our favorite. Like we kind of wanted to like have like more like relaxing beach and like learn about the history and the culture and eat like Thai food, but it was like a lot of like we didn't do very much research, unfortunately. And we went to like the party areas, which wasn't great.
I'm sure. I feel like the people who are like born and raised there, like the domestic people that live there, are all catered towards making money off the tourists anyway. So there's not a lot of historic.
Yeah, there is areas like that, but honestly, like I want to go back to Thailand and go to like different areas and go to the north. We were only in Thailand maybe 2 weeks, so and we didn't. There was a couple of spots that we really liked, but there was a couple of spots that we really just hated because it was like, you know, like blasting music till 2 a.m. and like just like everybody's like drunk.
That whole
and, like,
party scene,
yeah.
Sounds like a good time, but there's definitely way better things to do there, I'm sure.
I mean, we definitely had some fun wild nights, but then like for us, like a couple of those is fine, but then you know you don't want to like be listening to that music till 2 a.m. every night. Like you're just like trying to
week
sleep.
straight.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of get my experience from that, like being out there in like Japan. Like most of those places close at like 6 o'clock in the morning, so like everybody's out until like from like 9 p.m. the previous night until like 6 a.m. in the morning, still asking you to like go out and see other places and stuff like that. So I can understand. You get to the point where you get so tired of it, you're just like, all right, I need to kind of pack up and get out of here.
Yeah. So what we did is we hopped on a bus and we went to the next country over, which is Cambodia.
Okay, good food.
It's great. Yeah, great food. And we went to Angkor Wat, which is in the city of Siem Reap, which is the old ruins. Most people would recognize it from Tomb Raider. That's like where they filmed Tomb Raider.
Oh no shit, really?
So if you don't know about Angkor Wat, look it up.
Angkor Wat.
Yeah, Angkor Wat. So ANKOR space WAT.
Interesting.
And it's like this huge civilization that they like discovered. I think they didn't even find it till I want to say the 70s. It was like buried in the jungle.
So it's like
nobody. I was just gonna say, was there anybody living there?
No, it's like all these old ruins that are all carved out of stone, and they're super.
It's like the
old.
Aztecs of Asia.
Exactly.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that idea exactly.
Did you learn anything about that civilization? Like
we learned so much. I mean, like it's so big. It's like 20 miles wide. Yeah, I don't remember the exact dates. I'd have to look it up to tell you.
No,
sure.
You're good. But yeah, it was probably rich in its time at some point. That's just that's interesting.
But they don't like. There's not a ton known. Like they don't know like why they like abandoned this city. I mean, there's a lot of theories, but it was really.
And what were
cool.
the locals in Cambodia like? Were they like descendants of those people that from those ruins, or do they not know much about that history themselves? I mean, I don't know
Cambodia
if you even know that or not, but
Cambodia has like this crazy history because in the 90s they had a crazy leader who basically like was I mean, I guess I don't fully know his motivation, but he was afraid of people that were educated, people that spoke more than one language, people that wore glasses. He rounded them up and he killed them. And so they had this mass genocide.
Self-confidence issues.
So
that's definitely what it is. Yeah,
like the movie that kind of like wraps that up, like if you want to see it in a movie, is called The Killing Fields. And it's it's a crazy, interesting story. It was like basically a Holocaust that happened in the 90s, so not that long ago.
Yeah.
I
wonder what the numbers were like on that too.
I want to say that he killed like 25% or more of the population.
Like thousands of people.
Like millions of people.
Probably millions. Yeah, I was gonna say that's.
Yeah, I need to look into that just for being educated too.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like also like they had already, they're next door to Vietnam, and a lot of the Vietnam War was actually fought there, in parts of Cambodia. Okay.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so they were like hit hard by the Vietnam War. So was Laos.
I wonder if they were under like Russian influence at that time, Cambodia, like right when the Vietnam War was kind of going on.
You know, I don't know for sure. I'd have to look it up, but yeah, it was absolutely beautiful there. It was hot, super hot. We were there for like yeah, we were there for their New Year's celebration, and so they do the same kind of thing that Thailand does for like the Chinese New Year's, where they like have a big water fight. Everyone's got water guns, buckets of water, water balloons.
Really? Yeah.
So like we were out and about, and you just get completely soaked. There's no way of avoiding it.
Like would people in the streets just kind of come up to you and just start throwing water at you and stuff?
Oh yeah, really? Big time. Like
yeah, you so definitely cool,
you have to make sure your phone is like in a Ziploc bag, because you will be like completely soaking wet within like 5 minutes of leaving your hostel or wherever you are.
And that kind of just continues on for like the whole day?
For a whole week, pretty much, yeah.
What?
It is crazy.
Word. That sounds so cool, yeah.
But it was like hot. It was like over 100 degrees with like very humid. So it felt good. It was nice.
Yeah. So what part of the year were you there? Was this like the summer?
It was like spring. I think like
oh wow, and it was
in March.
And it was that hot?
Yeah, it was very hot. So from there we wanted to go into Vietnam from Cambodia, and we were planning on just taking a bus, but we couldn't get visas to enter the country like by bus. So what we ended up doing is we actually just got on a plane and we flew from Cambodia to Vietnam. The plane was like 45 minutes long. It wasn't even that long.
Did you need visas for Cambodia and Thailand and all that?
Yeah, most of the visas you can just get, like you can apply online or you can apply at the border. I mean, every country is different, but to go into Vietnam by bus or car, you have to apply for a visa like a couple months ahead of time. But if you're flying in, you can just apply at the airport. So that's why we decided. We decided to fly.
That's kind of interesting. Yeah.
It was a good thing we did that. I mean, the plane was like I said, 45 minutes long, the plane ride, and the plane ticket was like $100 maybe. So it was not that expensive, and just a little bit more than taking the bus. And so we got into Vietnam, and we were in the very, very south in the city that's called Saigon, or that's the old name. The new name is Ho Chi Minh City, but a lot of people still call it Saigon.
Okay. We learned about that in history class. Ho Chi Minh, Saigon.
Yep. That's where like basically the Americans were based out of.
So Vietnam is right next to Cambodia, but what made you wanna go there, primarily?
Well, I just heard a lot of good things about Vietnam before, and I don't know if you guys know the television show Top Gear. Do you know that show? It's like a British show they used to play, and it's over now. Well, now they have like an American version, but it's like 3 guys, and it's mainly a car show. But they had this one episode like years ago, like when I was in high school, where they all went to Vietnam and they got scooters and motorcycles and they rode through Vietnam.
I've seen a lot of people do that when they go there, yeah.
Yeah, so like popular. That's what we wanted to do. We're like, let's screw it. Like that sounds super fun.
As usual, however, there was one small problem.
I fear my new mod look has been spoiled slightly because somebody has written penis on my helmet. I did that.
As we headed for the ancient capital of Hue on this superheated highway, James started to fall behind again.
And so when we got to Saigon, I bought a motorcycle, and it was like cheap. It was like I think I spent like $200 or $250 on this bike.
And have you ever been on a bike before that?
Yeah, so I had bought a motorcycle when we lived in Portland, so maybe 2 years before this.
Because I know you're still really big into that now.
Yeah.
A motorcycle repairs and whatnot.
When we lived in Portland, Leela and I are like decided to take this motorcycle class. We saw like they're having a sale on this motorcycle class. We're like, let's do it. Like, let's just try it out. And I was instantly hooked after the class, and I went out and bought a bike. And so we both had our motorcycle licenses. So we got this bike, and at first it was like just the two of us on it. Mm-hmm. But after the first day of riding, I was like, we need to get a second bike. Like, it was just too much weight.
Yeah.
You know, you get like, for like the first day we rode, I think I rode for like 10 hours to get to our spot. Cause like,
and she's just like holding on to you the whole time, or
yeah, and like we have our suitcases like strapped to the side, and like I'm like balancing the weight of like both the suitcases and both of us, and like, you know, you just get so tired like with all that weight on there.
Yeah.
So after like it took us a little while, but after the first week we found another bike, and so Leela was on her own bike, and so we spent 6 weeks total, and we rode from the south all the way to the north of Vietnam. And then we rode along the entire northern border where Vietnam borders China. And then out to the sea there. The Vietnamese call it the Vietnamese Sea, and the Chinese call it the Chinese Sea. There's like kind of dispute.
Perfect.
But there's like absolutely beautiful islands there. So we took a boat out to the islands with our bikes on the boat, like a ferry. And then we rode around the islands. And then we rode back to the city, and we flew out of Vietnam.
And what where were you staying? In hostels?
Yeah, so Vietnam is super cheap. Like
I've heard, yeah.
We were staying in like hostels at first, because like a bed in a hostel in like a dorm room is like anywhere from like $2 to $6 for a night.
For a night? Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane, man.
So first we were doing that, but then, you know, it's like two of us, so we need 2 beds. And then I was like, okay, so like $10 or $12, right? So not that much money, but then I realized that we could get a hotel room, like with a private bathroom and an air conditioner for like $12 a night. $12 to $15 a night.
It's a big upgrade.
Yeah. So when we were in Vietnam, our budget was $45 a day. Then that included like our hotel room, all of our food, and our gas for the day.
Oh wow!
For both for 2 bikes and everything, and we hit that most days.
What was the food like there?
The food was really good. It was great food. I mean, their food is very heavily French influenced, because the French occupied Vietnam like before the Vietnam War. So they have like really good cooking. Like I'm a vegetarian, so I'm a pescatarian.
Pescatarian, yeah.
But yeah, that was a little hard. Like sometimes like finding stuff, because they use a lot of meat. Like especially like in
the
small,
cows and
like
whatnot.
country towns. Yeah.
I remember seeing a lot of pictures from that trip. Just a lot of farmland, country land out there.
It's so beautiful.
There he is.
It was really cool. I highly recommend it.
Of all the places you've been, what's your favorite food culture, I guess?
My favorite food is, I think it's still like Mexican food.
Yeah,
like
you're big.
Tacos, ceviche.
I feel like your whole family's big into that.
Yeah, I'm big into the Mexican food. It's so good.
What's your favorite Mexican food?
I gotta say like ceviche.
Ceviche.
Okay.
Yeah. But I also, you know, I love sushi. I've been to Japan too, and like sushi is just. I love sushi.
Sushi's good, bro. Yeah.
I see that you also like you'll fish off of like a remote beach or something too, and you'll cook that up. And
yeah. I do a lot of fishing on the boat. We actually have a spear gun, so I do a lot of spear fishing, which is pretty.
Really?
Fun.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
What?
You go in the water
it's
for
like
that?
on the TV shows and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like guys that are really good can dive down like 100 feet and shoot like big ass fish. I'm not doing that. I'm diving down like 15 feet, maybe 20 feet.
But you do shoot from within the water, right? Then you don't do it from on the boat. Okay, dude.
No, you have to be underwater to shoot.
So what? You literally just like pull the trigger on a fish?
Yeah.
So your aim has to be pretty good for that.
Yeah, it has to be good, and you have to be like pretty close to the fish. Like I would say, you have to be like at least 8 feet away. If you're like any farther than that, your spear's not gonna like, because you want the spear to go through the fish. Like if you like just nick the fish and it like swims off, then there's blood in the water, and then you're like gonna attract sharks. Nobody wants that.
Fuck that. Nobody wants that. Yeah, I wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
That sounds wild. You're gonna have to take me out on the boat sometime. I would absolutely love to do that.
Yeah, it'd be rad.
I was gonna ask, like, where else have you been outside of like Thailand? Vietnam, Japan.
Yeah. So when we left Vietnam, we flew to Denmark, and we actually met Leela, my wife. Her mom flew there and met us there, and we spent 10 days in Denmark because that's Denmark? Where. Well, Leela's grandfather, her mom's dad, is from there, or he immigrated from there. So we like met up with his sister, and like got to see like meet up with some of her family there and like learn the history and like see.
So like, that like her great aunt still lives there then? Is that what that is?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Her great aunt.
Interesting.
And then,
I've heard good things about Denmark as well.
It's cool. It's really expensive though. That's the only thing. Like, is it? Like I said, like probably in really Vietnam, it like a hostel bed in Vietnam is like anywhere from like $2 to $6 a night. Mm-hmm. When we went to Denmark, we couldn't find a hostel bed for under $100 a night.
Oh man.
And that's like a bed in a dorm, like shared room. And so like going from Vietnam to Denmark, it was just like, holy shit. And like, beer is like $13 for a beer at least.
Why are hostels so expensive though? Was it just because of the demand? Like there's just so many people that are...
Yeah, I know they're like a top tourist location now, Denmark.
Yeah,
it's
not
like,
number
one.
Probably.
It's just like everything's expensive there. It's pricey.
What was what did it look like there? Well, I forget what I was gonna say. Like, not the geometry, but like, is it like woodsy there? Or is it? I know it. Yeah. What's the geography?
So we spent like a bit of time in the city in Copenhagen, and it's like beautiful. Like it's right on the water.
Yeah, I know the north side of it is on the. I don't know what water it is. It's not the Mediterranean.
Yeah, there's a sea there between Denmark and Sweden, and we were right on that water. That's where Copenhagen is, kind of on the south side of the
Copenhagen,
country.
Yeah. Is that where you were, in Copenhagen?
We were in Copenhagen, and then we went north to like the north end of the island and spent like about a week there, because that's where Leela's great aunt lives.
Oh, ooh, that sounds cool too.
Yeah. And then
yeah.
Well, then when we left Copenhagen and Denmark, we actually took a train over to Sweden. And we have a friend from college who was living in Sweden who was dating a Swedish guy. And we spent 10 days in Sweden with them. And they had an old like camper van, so the southern part of Sweden, which was amazing. So beautiful. But that was like in May too, so it was...
Yeah, they got like waterfalls and mountains and just beautiful colors. Or am I thinking of Switzerland? No, both. I think.
You're thinking of Switzerland. There's not too many mountains. At least in the southern part of Sweden, there wasn't too many mountains. But it was like, you were always close to the beach and like beautiful farmland. And it was just in May. It was like perfect weather. It was really nice.
Yeah, I was curious what the weather is like up there in like Finland, Sweden, Denmark, that area.
So it's pretty cold, right?
Yeah, I mean it gets really cold, but like it's far north. So like when we were there in May, like it was light till like after 10 o'clock at night.
Really?
Which is crazy.
That's wild.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, in the winter they have like hardly any light. I think it gets dark at like 3 o'clock or something, or earlier. But it was nice being there in the spring. So yeah, that was awesome. And then,
you were at Japan for your, for what? Your honeymoon, right?
When we went to Japan, we just went for 10 days. That's when we were living back in Portland. And we were just like, while we were working those 9 to 5s, we like saved up vacation time. We went over to Japan for 10 days. And that's where I proposed to Leela.
Okay. So it wasn't a honeymoon, it was a proposal.
Where at? What city?
So we flew into Tokyo. And we spent a few days there. And then we went down in like the Fuji Lake region. There's a small town called Kawaguchiko, and that's where I proposed there, like up on this nice little mountain, like overlooking the lake, right at the base of Mount Fuji. And then from there we went to Kyoto, which is really cool too. And then we had to take a train all the way back up to Tokyo to fly out. So
that wasn't part of the journey. That was more vacation than anything.
Yeah, that was kind of a vacation.
It's so cool though. You got to check something off the list. Another one.
I was going to say, like,
yeah.
I feel like you've probably been to like 30 countries already. Something like that.
Do you keep track of that?
I think maybe like 20.
That's wow.
Well, actually, yeah. Maybe more because after all this, we flew back to the States and we bought a Sprinter van, like an old Sprinter van.
This is after Denmark, right?
Yeah, after Denmark and Sweden, we flew back, bought this old Sprinter van, and we spent a couple months fixing it up and like completely gutted the whole thing and turned it basically into like a small RV camper van. And then we spent the last year, we did this all in Massachusetts, and then we spent the last year driving it down, and we did all of Central America. So we did Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama.
Yeah, bro, you're way over 20 for sure.
I was going to say, I think that's 20 right there.
So this is this is at the point where you converted that van into a little mobile home. Then, right?
Yeah. This is like a different van.
That is super interesting. So like I don't know how to describe the type of van. Like you'd all recognize it if you saw it, but
it's like the same thing that like Amazon and FedEx use.
Yeah. So it's not massive in size, but the insides. So you gutted it, but like what you turned this thing into was something unbelievable. So it had a bed, it had like a kitchen, it had like a couch that could be converted into like a dining table. You have like Wi-Fi ports in there, like
yeah, we did a lot of work, like basically making it into like a mini RV.
Yeah, I remember when you first introduced it to the family more or less, and it was just insane. It was just insane, and you have all the storage under the bed, so like you literally and you made floor plan like blueprints for this all beforehand. I remember.
Yeah, we drew it all up, just like planned it out because we were building the whole thing. It was sweet. Like it was a lot of work, but like since I had the boat and like the RV before, I kind of like had worked on those, and there's a lot of similarities. But it was cool with this one because it was like a blank slate. Like we gutted the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. And the usage of space is just brilliant.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we've lived in a lot of small.
Small environments.
So we kind of had to like make it the way that we wanted it.
Yeah. And do you still have that to date?
Yeah, we still have the van. So we drove that back up from Panama, and we got back to Massachusetts just before Thanksgiving. So about
tell me about Central America. Fondest memories, favorite country, food, cultures, or is it all
I mean, I still love Mexico. Like, it's still my favorite place.
You went to Chile, though, you said, too?
Chile. No,
that's South America. Yeah. But you went to Belize and
Costa Rica and those places.
Yep. So,
Guatemala.
So Mexico is super chill. It's huge. Like, most people don't realize that, like, the mainland of Mexico is, like, as big as the mainland of the United States. And it's, like, it's super diverse. Like, when most people think of Mexico, I think they think of like desert, cactus, tequila,
or resorts like Cancun and stuff like that.
Yeah, or resorts, exactly. But just like America, like there's huge mountains in Colorado. There's huge mountains in Mexico that are way bigger than the mountains in the United States.
And the Rockies, no shit.
Bigger than the Rockies, yeah. We camped one night on like this huge mountain, like on a volcano at 14,000 feet high.
What?
So like, crazy.
How'd you get? You just drove all the way up there?
We just drove it. There's a road all the way up there, so that was pretty cool.
Shit. That sounds crazy.
But so there's like all different areas of Mexico that like people I think they just don't realize until you actually see it yourself.
Big time. And I've seen some of the pictures that you've posted on Instagram and whatnot, just from like you'll just post up the van and I'll see the view from where you're sleeping. It's like a beautiful villa where all the houses are different colors and within like on a mountain, like there's that, but then there's also beaches. Like Yeah, there's
just a little bit of everything.
Yeah, exactly. Just like the United States, like it's super diverse. Like the people are very diverse, and like the food changes as you go to different regions, and like the scenery, everything. It's great.
Yeah, it's strange that a country that shares the same border as America isn't as, I don't know, as it's not portrayed in the light that you've experienced as much, as the other misconceptions we've talked about, like a few seconds ago.
I was just gonna say, I think it's just because we live in the U.S. and for everything that's going on, they're kind of trying to give it that bad image.
Yeah, for sure, like the border control and stuff.
So we were like there last year when in the news, like there was this whole, they were in the news in the U.S. They were talking about like this huge migrant caravan of people coming up, and like all these people, they're gonna like invade the southern border, right?
El Chapo, yeah. No, I don't know.
During that time, like we didn't see any of that, like driving through Mexico.
Probably just happy people living their lives, probably.
I mean, I'm sure there was some of it, but like I think it was just like blown way out of proportion.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
like,
we didn't have
the southern border.
Yeah.
When we were at the southern border crossing, like I don't know, it was what you hear on the news is like, socialized and like over the top.
So what did you say before that?
You're at the southern border.
Oh yeah, at the southern border, like the news was saying like there's like thousands of people trying to cross into Mexico at the southern border and like all this stuff, but we didn't see any of that. There was like we waited at the border like maybe 5 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. Like we don't have like the inside scoop. Like you should have been reporting from your little van out there saying like, well, we're here and there's not much of that. Like, because we're just relied on, what
mainstream media.
The news says when at the dinner table or something, just what's going on.
Yeah.
That's interesting though, and it's good to, just be open minded. Don't listen to what you hear on the TV all the time.
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy though, like how different media can be versus when you're actually there, and then what somebody else is saying from far away. It's crazy that it's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we also, like the first time we really experienced that was when we were in Cape Town, in South Africa. That's when their drought was going on, and in the news that I was seeing, like stuff on Facebook, they were saying like people have to wait in line to get water, and like there's armed guards and all this stuff, and. But when we were there, it wasn't like that at all. Like they didn't shut off any taps. Like you could turn the faucet on and water would come out. But they were in a drought. So they were just telling people like, conserve your water. Like don't take long showers. Don't flush the toilet more than you need.
Kind of like lockdown protocols like we're in now.
Yeah, just kind of like being careful with your water. Like don't waste it.
Yeah. Cause I'm sure like when they asked to be cautious on a national scale or global scale or whatever, it portrays as like just like a major crisis when they really just want the population to conserve what's going on.
Yeah,
which is what's going on right now in like America and around the world is that like it's like this coronavirus bullshit is such a major event that none of us will ever forget till like for the rest of our lives, just because on a global scale, like humans have to stay like not so condensed. So like we, stop the spread of it and everything, but it's not major things that they're asking for us. They're just asking us to like not, I don't even
be around a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's not like they're asking us to like tie ourselves up in the basement and just wait till this shit's over, Like it's minor things they're asking us, but like it's such a global event and there's so much outcry for it, and people are losing their minds just staying at home. Like it's just bizarre.
Crazy,
yeah, I hear you. For sure. It's definitely bizarre. We've never experienced anything like it in our lifetime.
Yeah. Do you envision yourself maybe, I don't know if you'll ever retire, but spending most of your days in Mexico, like when you're kind of giving up the traveling life? Because I feel like it has a dear spot in your heart for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we definitely love it. It's like I've said, we've been to all these countries, and I still keep finding ourselves like going back. Like we're planning to go back to Mexico this winter. Like ideally, like it'd be sweet to spend winters down there in Mexico, either on the boat or in the van or whatever, and then like summers in the States, like when
why not?
endless summer sort of thing. Always have
that's
warm weather.
perfect actually. Yeah. I might do that too actually.
I mean, so like, how do you see yourself traveling going forward, or is there anywhere that you're like, all right, I gotta get here before I do anything else?
I don't have like, I mean, I definitely want to get back down to Mexico, get back on the sailboat a bit. And the van is pretty sweet too. So I think what we'll do like this time is we'll drive the van down there and spend like a little bit of time in the van, and then spend a little bit of time in the boat. Maybe be down there like 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
But I wanna see more of Europe.
Yeah,
the
it
only
seems like a
parts
place
of
you
Europe
haven't
that I really
touched too
saw
much.
was Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I haven't seen like Spain, France, England,
Italy.
like any of the big Germany,
Yeah.
like
Or you got to do a backpack, like a backpacking trip.
Yeah, but the thing about that is like, that's
It's not cheap.
I know it's
to
like the
do.
traditional thing to do. It's like, but the thing is, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
You gotta like have some serious money saved up, or have like a good job that like where you have good
coming in, especially with the euro, being as expensive as it is compared to the dollar.
What I love to do, like, for sure. What I'd love to do, like, kind of my next big thing that I want to do is like do a motorcycle trip through Europe. Like,
I would be sick.
Just travel by motorcycle. I mean, kind of like we did in Vietnam, but the problem is like when you're on a motorcycle, you pretty much have to like get a hotel room, and hotels in Europe are a lot more expensive than like $12 a night.
Why won't would you consider just doing the van then, where you could not have to pay for rent and stuff? I mean, that would probably be a pain in the ass.
With like gas and stuff,
Yeah, and also just getting it there, like putting it on a ship is like about $2,000 to like ship it over.
Is it? Yeah, I assume so. Plus, like the streets, like you'll find this out, I'm sure, but the streets in Europe are tiny as hell. Like that van would definitely shock in some of the big cities, like
tinier than Philly.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
really?
Like, dude, I got some funny stories, dude, of that.
I think he told me, you and your parents told me a story one time when you guys.
Like our family friend was like driving the van, and it's just like the roads are so fucking narrow, and then they have like these big like poles on the outside to kind of like. It's kind of like a bridge between like the sidewalks and the roads. So like if you're like trying to cut a turn where you think it's just like it's impossible to drive a van in like the streets of Madrid, because there's no real like it's not organized roads like it is in America. Like we ended up in the middle of like this big like shopping area market, like a food market, and we weren't on a road, but we thought we were on a road. It's just bizarre. Like we had to like stop because people were walking in front of us. Like we just weren't on a road, and like these Spanish cops came up to us and like pulled us over, and they're like, "Yeah, what are you doing?" Like, they had to like block people off, and like they literally helped us. They're super friendly though. They're not like American cops at all. They're
just left the van there and like, all right.
But yeah, like just turning corners, like we scraped the van so badly, like several times, just on those like poles on the side of. I'm trying to think of like, I don't know, if you see in like movies in Italy or something, like they have those little Fiat cars on the small streets. It's like that. Like a Fiat's almost like the standard size you need. Biking though, a bike would be super super cool. Biking about that motorcycle. Yeah, I think that's something you definitely have to do.
Yeah,
but I think so. What I think it seems like you're almost locked in where you are now for a little bit, right? I know your wife's working on like cruise ships, or not cruise ships, but like private.
Yeah, she works on a yacht.
Yeah.
A private yacht, yeah.
So cool.
And aren't you guys starting like your own businesses? I know you have chickens up there.
Yeah, we got some chickens. We just got those like a couple months ago, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, so if we go down to Mexico or we travel, the chickens are going to go over to our neighbor's house. She's going to take care of them because she wanted chickens as well. So that kind of worked out nice.
Yeah. So are you producing it for yourself, or is it for like to sell to other people? like with the eggs
Chickens?
and everything like that? Yeah.
Just eggs for ourselves. It's like 4 chickens. They're too young. They're not laying eggs quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
But in a few months they'll start laying eggs, and then we'll have fresh eggs every day, which will be sweet.
Oh
That's
yeah,
nice. Yeah, that's always nice.
some fresh chicken breast too.
It's been a fun project.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess like we are a little bit locked in, but we have this I don't know if it's a rule, but like this thing is like we don't really plan farther than like 6 months in advance. You know, like we only
unspoken rule, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way, like, you know, we're kind of flexible, like always ready for the next adventure. We're not gonna tie ourselves down too much, just because we like to travel and it makes it easier.
Yeah.
And like, the other thing is like, I didn't mention this earlier, but when we were like sailing down in Mexico, like, or even in the van, you know, in the RV too, you see like a lot of people that are retired, and they're like, you know, most people that are traveling in RVs and on sailboats are retired, and they're like, you know, over 65. Mm-hmm. And so many of them say to us like, oh, I wish we had done this when we were your age, like when we were young. There's nothing right now. Like we don't have kids. We don't even have a pet. I mean, we have the chickens now. We don't have a dog or anything. We don't have a house like that we own. So we're kind of like, we have the opportunity to travel now. Mm-hmm. So we're just like, might as well like seize the opportunity and just go with it, or else, you know, life could pass us by and we might not ever get that opportunity.
For sure.
That's a mindset right there. You're almost thinking like reverse on how to like go about things, like work now while you're young and you have energy and whatnot. And then, you know, try to retire young and do at like a younger age and travel all that stuff.
Mean, I'll probably be working till I'm like 80 years old.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I think too, like
Yakima. What else is there? So weren't you doing some research into starting up like a dispensary, or is that on hold?
It's kind of on hold right now with this whole coronavirus thing, but yeah.
That's what I was thinking when I mentioned like being held down, because you can't really be too remote and trying to settle that up, can you? But I'm sure it's a slow process at the same time.
Yeah, so basically the deal is like in Massachusetts, marijuana dispensaries are legal now, and I've got a friend and like 2 other business partners, and the 4 of us were gonna like kind of go in and like open a marijuana dispensary.
You said they are legal? Yeah.
They're legal, yeah. They're fully legal for recreational use.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
So the idea would be like we rent a place and get a license and start selling marijuana out of it. And it would probably take about a year to like get set up and going. And then we would hire like a manager or something. Actually, we wouldn't be like there day to day, or I wouldn't be there. That'd be the plan. Like just get it going, and then like we could still travel and be passive income.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I almost envision it as like a mom and pop shop, but yeah, you want to as strictly as like a business opportunity.
Right. You just making money, and then you just doing your thing.
Yeah, it would be like pretty small. But honestly, like the hardest part that we've been trying to find a place, and the hardest part is just that, finding a place, because you know the state has like certain laws about where they can be. Like you can't be near a church, you can't be near a school, you can't be near a hospital.
Oh, okay, interesting.
But then like every town also has their own laws, and like there's zoning laws. So like you know, you can't be in a commercial district, you can't be in a residential, like, so you know I'm like going through like listings for properties that are for rent, and then I gotta like check the state map.
Yeah, check all the boxes
and then check the town map, and then so like I was doing that for a while trying to find a place, and then
any
like,
progress
coronavirus thing happened. We haven't found a place. It's not like
this could be a good opportunity now though, because so many places are closing down, I assume, and whatnot.
So,
I wonder.
That's true. Yeah.
Some things that pop up.
There might be some good opportunities for like retail rentals or commercial rentals.
Yeah, at least in the next few months. Yeah.
How close are you to like Boston?
Like an hour and a half south.
Not bad. Okay.
Like like Boston's more like a lot farther north. I'm like right on the edge of Rhode Island.
Oh, word.
Okay.
Which is like another like interesting thing is because like it's not legal recreationally. Dispensaries aren't legal recreationally in Rhode Island. So doing that, like people could come over from Rhode Island. You're getting more business.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's legal for them to cross state lines.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know.
People would do it anyway, and it's not like on the dispensary.
I mean, when our parents were growing up, drinking age was like 21 in Philly, but 18 in Jersey. So like, I'm pretty sure our mothers used to cross over the bridge and just booze up over there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just like in Philly, like a lot of people drive down to Delaware to buy booze because it's like cheap. Like same idea
and whatnot. Yeah, they have the Total Wine down there where it's just like the mecca of alcohol. And that's right near the border too. Yeah,
that store probably kills it because they get like people coming from all different states.
100%.
Oh yeah, Jersey, Philly, all of it.
And that's what you'll do, except the marijuana version of that. Total buds or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully that works out. But yeah, we want to keep traveling as much as possible. Keep seeing more of the world. I've seen like Leela's actually been to 49 states, so you only has one state left to go to.
And what's that?
I've got about
Hawaii.
It's actually north. She's been to Alaska. She's just got
Don't
North
say
Dakota
North Dakota. Oh no.
You said North Dakota?
Yeah. So we're gonna have to make our way to North Dakota just so she can check it out for Liz. I've got I think I got 6 or 7 states left to visit.
Okay. How the hell do you go to South Dakota and just not be like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go to North Dakota just to get these out of the way?
I think she was driving cross country at the time, and it was like too far out of the way.
Logistics, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's cool though. We're gonna have to have you both on the show next go around. I'm sure she has some stories to tell.
Yeah, you could have her on because she's got a pretty interesting job, and she could tell you about that. It's definitely like different than most people have. It's not a normal 9 to 5 thing.
I'll say you said she was on a yacht, so I'm interested in hearing what that whole process is like.
Yeah, she's a chef and a stewardess on a private yacht. So she like cooks all the food, and then she like cleans the cabins and makes the beds and keeps like the boat in nice running order.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like a hotel manager, except for like a private owner and a yacht.
But also like a professional chef mixed in with that.
Yeah, right. Damn. I hope she's getting paid good money for that. I would love to have someone on my boat if I ever had a boat like that.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
Is the yacht like stationary, or is it going other places? Like, how's that?
Well, I mean, if you have her on, she can tell you all about it. But she mainly it's in one spot. Like they'll go out for the weekend, or they'll go out like on like a week-long trip or something. But most of the time, they're just kind of in one spot, and they go for like day sales.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, dude. Now that I'm starting to get some money here, I definitely would love to go on a trip with you. Just tag along. I'll fly down to Mexico and meet you guys, and we'll just take the boat.
Yeah.
But I would absolutely
start saving up.
I will. I'd absolutely love that.
Save some money. It's always nice when you're traveling and like to not be pinching pennies. If you just have a little bit of money in your pocket.
Yeah.
If you go to like a country like Mexico where it's a lot, you can get a lot for a little bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really want to find the courage to have the free will of, I don't know. I want to have the courage to be able to leave things behind and go backpack. I want to backpack. I'm not obsessed with, vacationing and traveling. As much as I am experiencing a culture and learning just,
that's the key.
What else is in this world that goes on every single day that we don't even know is out there, like you don't really know what you're looking for until you find it, I guess.
Just gotta do it.
For sure.
So on that note, I think we covered just about everything, unless you think of anything else.
No, I think that's good. I would say, yeah, covered pretty much everything.
Okay, well then before I let you go, I'd like, just in case, yeah, just for the people even like me or kids out there, young kids out there who know they have, you know, innate in their system, like a passion to travel, but have restrictions. Like, do you have just any last minute words of, you know, encouragement or advice or anything on people out there listening who want to just get away and travel and not be held back by, you know, losing the 9 to 5 or the limitations?
Yeah. I would say, like, you know, start small. You know, even if you only have like a 2-week vacation every year, like, go on a trip. Like, save up some money and go on a trip. And then once you do the first one, it gets easier and easier. Like, you know, it was scary going to Japan where like nobody spoke English. It was, you know, it's scary going to a lot of countries where people don't speak English, but then you realize, like, it's, you know, 2020 now, and
technology's out there.
You know, especially in Vietnam, we're using Google Translate. We're having like entire conversations through Google Translate.
Oh yeah.
We have all these, and we have like things like Google Maps now too, and like all of these great websites and resources that make it a lot easier. So once you take one little trip and you realize, like, you know, it's not that hard, it's not that scary, you know, you get the bug, or at least I did, and then I want to just keep traveling and keep going. So, you know, if it's something that worries you, whether it's money or the cultural barrier or the language barrier, I would say just go for it. Start small if you're worried about it, and you can always go again. But I say do it while you're young if you can, because it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to hear or what I was looking for. It's really like, it's like any major step in your life. It's always the worst part is, you know, jumping off the ledge, you know, like actually, because once you're in it, it's never as bad as like your greatest fears are, of like, you know, leaving your hometown or homeland. And so
for sure,
I will try to live by that advice in the near future. Hopefully this Corona ship makes a lot of good travel opportunities.
I've been telling you, I've been telling him to do it, so
go for it. Yeah,
you gotta go for it.
I'm going for it sooner or later. I'm sure I'll be calling you every step of the way, being like, they don't speak English, I don't know what to do. It'll work out though. I'm excited.
It'll work out. It always works out.
Yeah, if you don't hear from me though for like a few weeks, definitely send the cavalry or something.
All right, so yeah, Tom, man, thanks for coming on today. You know, it's definitely great having you on and meeting you and hearing about your story and everything like that. So we definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, man. It was nice meeting you, and this is a great spot. I was super stoked to be on, and I can't wait to see the episode and see all your episodes coming forward.
Hell yeah, dude.
Everybody's gonna love it.
That's a wrap. It sounds like a wrap to me.